It was the night before Christmas, and children were dreaming of the presents Santa would bring.
Somebody's on the soul of Detroit.
But this Christmas Eve,
Hey, you!
the unthinkable happened.
You killed him.
Did not.
Now, this night,
If something should happen to me, put on my suit. Mark Fellhauer will know what to do.
it's up to them
Let's go!
to save the day. Together,
Sean Windsor and ML Elric
take on the biggest job in the world.
hosting the Soul of Detroit.
You ass interrogative questions around my face. It's gone.
What are you doing?
That is not paid for by them. That is paid for by the people of Detroit.
You might be qualified, ML.
I'm not qualified for this job.
Let me tell you something. You want to go right now? Okay? You want to go right now?
Hey kids, it's your jolly old pal ML Elric here with a special Christmas edition, holiday edition if you will, of the Soul of Detroit. And you may say to yourself, what is it about Detroit and Christmas that make them so intertwined? Was it Hudson's? Was it Santa Bear? Well, we actually put the hose in ho ho ho. So that's our contribution to Christmas. But we have
How long
someone
did it take you to write that joke?
that's it's spontaneous as a gift.
Okay.
It's
Took
also
a long time to deliver it, I'll tell you that much.
It's also why I'm on the naughty list, but I'm hoping to get off.
The gang's back together. It hadn't been here. We haven't been here in a while.
I know. You were gone, and then I was out. I was sick.
I was on, a forced leave.
No, that was what a lot of our listeners had on their wish list.
Forced leave.
Oh, that I shouldn't come back.
Sean would be at the North Pole.
Well, I was thinking about that today when I was
feeding some reindeer.
When I was sitting in a parking lot
By
on the
being
freeway
chopped up
today.
into little bits.
Like they don't really need me.
Oh no, we do need you.
We always need you. We just don't know what time you're going to show up.
Yeah, well, this has been not a fun drive this last year.
You okay?
Yeah, is it me or is the construction season well into the early part of the winter?
It's just always construction season.
Yeah,
is that what's going on now? It's no longer the summer and the early fall.
I just read about some kids with cancer, but your traffic thing is worse. Yeah, I really appreciate that.
I know. Well, you certainly
give us
can't-
that perspective.
You certainly
Relativism.
can't leave earlier. I'll tell you that much.
No, it took almost an hour and a half.
Really?
So, yeah. And it's generally an hour these days. But I keep thinking, okay.
Can you prove that?
Tax break,
What
tax
time you
break,
left?
tax break. Yeah, I can.
Oh,
What's that?
how do you? I want some proof that you actually
could call, you
took
could
an
call
hour and
the
a half.
house.
All
Yeah.
right.
They could be co-conspirators. Well, this whole show is brought to you by Luke Nowacki and David Hall against their better judgment, but we will tell you how to save money for your future with Luke and how to save money right now with a great mortgage deal from David Hall after we talk to our very special guest. He needs no introduction, but I'm going to do it anyways because I do a lot of things that are superfluous. But we are joined by Santa, who is known to other Santas as Michael Buer, but to us, he is Santa. Oh, spoiler alert.
Yeah.
Spoiler
That's right. Now, we want to make sure that there's not many children around because we're going to tell some secrets of the North Pole, and we want to be very, very careful. We don't spoil it for anyone.
Well, we do. I think we do have an explicit label on Apple, so hopefully the parents are keeping us away from that. But then when you see some of the wish lists that kids want, Santa, are you ever concerned when you see these wish lists and say, hey, this is not appropriate for children?
Oh, I get that all the time because one of the best things all adults ask for is, Santa, I'd like $1 million for Christmas. And I said, that's not a problem. But remember, the currency at the North Pole is in candy canes. So if you have a good sweet tooth, I can make that happen.
And I just came from the dentist.
So I got to tell you, he has an answer for everything because I was grilling him like crazy beforehand.
He's Santa.
I know.
Wait, you were here early?
Yeah, always. Yeah.
Well, you have to remember, now Santa's over
here for an hour and a
1,700
half.
years old. I've been here 1,700 years, so that makes it really good that I have an answer for everything.
Well, you know you can start taking Social Security after 70 years, so you're not really accruing more benefits.
We just said that the currency at the North Pole is in candy canes, so could you imagine what the Social Security would be? Gumdrops?
That's true too. Yeah, that might be bad for the molars.
Could be too, yes.
And all those cookies. I mean, how do you keep getting down the chimneys with all those cookies?
Well, that's where multiple things come into play, such as yellow fairy dust. I use that to help me come down the chimney and to go back up again. So in that old poem, 'twas the night before Christmas, when I'm touching my nose, I'm putting yellow fairy dust there to help me go back up the chimney to the reindeer waiting.
So I grew up in Grosse Pointe, and some of those kids, when they touched their nose, the dust was not yellow.
Well, that's a whole different kind of dust there, and we don't deal with that at the North Pole. We only believe in the pure of snow.
What's the
Some of that snow was pretty pure. These kids had money. That was not stepped on.
so green? You're in green and not red. Is this because of Mike?
Well, no.
Santa loves the Spartans. Is that what's going on?
Yes, he does. They're very gifted.
We're just going to go with very gifted.
Okay.
Santa is a diplomat, and one of the places he learned some of these skills, I think some of this is very natural. It's just inherent in Michael, but he is a graduate and an instructor at the Charles Howard Santa Claus School right here in Midland, Michigan. Now, this has been in Midland, Michigan, since 70s?
It's
60s?
about the 70s, yes.
Okay. And they started in 1937 in New Jersey because there was a farmer out there named Charles W. Howard who got really concerned that he saw some Santas that looked a little bummy, to be kind, and that didn't seem to know anything about reindeer. So he created this Santa school. It's the longest running Santa school in the world. And every year there's about 300 Santas that matriculate here in Midland. And Michael was one of them. And now he's helping Santas find their way to that bright red sleigh.
That's right. The Charles Howard School does a lot when it comes to the Santa ambassador. In fact, it's so well attended. Last year, we had Santas from as far as Israel and all across North America. So it's a wonderful time of not only learning, but of fellowship. And it's not just for Santas. We include all the other Christmas performers and especially Mrs. Claus. Oh, we couldn't do anything without our Mrs. Clauses now.
What's like the biggest mistake newcomers to Santa school make?
Well,
or
one of
biggest
the-
misconception?
One of the biggest things that a lot of new Santa ambassadors look for is how to answer the questions of the children.
Oh.
There are many questions. How do you get around the world in one day, Santa? What happens if I catch you, Santa? How do the reindeers fly?
I just say magic.
And that's what a lot of adults say. But when you are supposed to be the embodiment of Santa and you are so familiar with the reindeer, the elves, you have to come up with a little bit more than it's just magic. For instance, how many of you realize when Rudolph was born?
9
months after
right?
Mrs.
Like
Rudolph
Well,
met some buck.
Rudolph was born in 1938.
That was
And
close.
Why was that? Because of
Story.
Montgomery Wards.
Oh, really?
Montgomery Wards was looking for basically an advertisement for Christmas, and one of the people that worked for him came up with the idea of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. And then within 2 years of giving out a free coloring book with their Santa visits, Montgomery Wards gave over 2 million coloring books. Now, the funny part, too, is the person that created the song, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, was actually the brother-in-law to the gentleman that actually created Rudolph.
Wow, what a windfall.
And well, it gets even better because when he retired from Montgomery Wards, the CEO of Montgomery Wards gifted him the copyrights to Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, geez.
Therefore, the
That's not
family still has that copyright intact.
It's really crazy how much Christmas as we know it today is rooted in commercialism from 100, 120, or even Victorian England. Like that seems to be just what has taken it over.
The first Christmas cards came from Victorian England.
Yeah.
And remember, Santa has been around in many different aspects from different cultures around. The England calls me Father Christmas. I wear a whole different type of suits. We also have basically the St. Nicholas for the Orthodox religions as well. And there's just so many different things. Of course, here in the United States, I'm known as Santa Claus. But for France, it's Pierre Noël, or there's Christkindl, and then there's Santa Claus. There's so many different aspects and different variations of Santa throughout, but folklore has also some scary aspects of Christmas as well.
Yeah, where's is it Krampus?
Krampus is a
Love him.
relationship of mine, and when you really start looking at some of the different variations from folklore, you're looking at individuals who would take naughty children, beat them with sticks, throw them into a sack, and then eat them later to scare the children crazy. So it's like,
Why isn't that one prevailed? That's
Sometimes they throw those naughty
great
children
tradition.
into a tunnel.
but for me, there's no such thing as a naughty child. Every child is great.
Yeah, there are.
And most of the other questions now too, as we are going on with questions for new people, is to develop a repertoire of stories that can actually lead to concrete proof of what you're saying. So this is one of the things that we teach at Santa School. We talk about how St. Nicholas evolved into Santa Claus from a point of an entire costume change from the religious robes, because St. Nicholas was a bishop, to the uniform that Santa wears. As for your question, the reason I'm wearing green instead of the traditional red, because for me, the red suit is kind of like the tuxedo, only used on Christmas Eve and for those very special events. For me, this is more of my toy shop working costume, because who wants to sit there in wool and heavy coat and try to whittle on wood or
so
paint?
It has nothing to do with Michigan Wolverine.
No, it has nothing to do with Michigan or Michigan State. Both are fine schools and institutions. And
Did you hear that, Mike?
And
to learn diplomacy.
Santa said both.
And unfortunately, the North Pole is really rooting for the maize and blue.
Yeah, all right. Of course they are.
That's because they're on the naughty list. Some of the other things that you can learn at Santa School is professional wig and beard applications for those without real beards, marketing advice, live reindeer habits, practice Santa flight lessons. Now, what? And then health and exercise, which you're talking about a big guy. What's the health and exercise?
The health and exercise is tremendous, because as we see some Santas, all they do is sit in a chair most of the day. And you have to be able to get up and be healthy. So you don't want to just fall to the wayside when it comes to exercise. But there's also dance. I love to dance. I love to get up in front of people and share my reindeer Macarena dance, or in fact, just sit there and just dance and bring the children in to come around me. But other things we do look at too, of course, majority of the Santas are in their older years. The average age, I believe, of Santa is late 60s, early 70s.
Okay.
So you have to now take a look, because lifting children into from a standing position up and onto your lap can do a lot on your back, can do a lot on your arms. So again, there's techniques to use for stretching to basically strengthen the bag. Or if you like to cheat like I do, have a little stool right there so the child can get up on the stool and hop on your lap yourself. There's also, you mentioned flight school. One of the wonderful things of Charles Howard is there is a sleigh with reindeer that gives you an opportunity to feel what it's like to be in the sleigh and to basically pull the reins of 9 reindeers.
So they have real live reindeer.
Oh, Tom and Holly have 2 reindeers, but the other ones are basically practice reindeer that they have. And it's just wonderful because it is basically like a flight simulation. You're actually on there and you get to run off the wonderful lines from 'Twas the Night Before Christmas. On Dasher, on Dancer, on Prancer and Vixen. On Cupid and Cupid, on Donner and Blitzen. To the top of the wall, to the top of the walls. Now dash away, dash away, dash away all. And that's the wonderful thing about the school. You're surrounded by 300 plus people who
300?
300
Wow.
who all
Way more than I would have thought.
who all share the Christmas spirit, who all share. And there's nothing like sitting in the auditorium and having 300 people sit up and start singing Santa Claus is coming to town.
Okay, a lot of schools and universities strive for diversity.
Mm-hmm.
So, once again, the representation of Santa in this country is an old white
Right.
male. What is it? Is it a real diverse Santa school?
It's starting to become that way.
Good.
We
Well,
are
see.
getting a lot of Santas now that are basically of African-American descent, Hispanic descent. There are even some that are crossing gender boundaries. I have a really good friend. She loves Santa and she portrays Santa. She doesn't portray Mrs. Claus or an elf. She is Santa. And it's wonderful to be able to see this because, again, most of the children growing up are only used to seeing one type of Santa. But now that we're becoming more wide open, we're basically now being able to see Santa come in all shapes, sizes.
Asian Santas?
No, there are Asians. The Asian Santas are fantastic as well. There are a few that you can find
All
online.
Santa-
Named Ho.
How dare you? All Santas are fantastic.
All Santas are fantastic and they're wonderful. But then
What-
leads us into other things.
What about the Santa? What if you're a Santa in Norway and the child says, "Why do we eat the reindeer?" How do you answer
He's
that?
got an answer, I guarantee it.
Well,
How
it's
do you
just
answer that.
it's the same reason
No
as
401k.
Those
for
are all the
reindeer.
lame reindeer that break their legs.
That's the retirement plan.
why do we eat deer here in Michigan?
Bam.
That's true, but they're not
The
really
answer
reindeer.
is, do you like jerky, Lars?
The
Then
difference.
shut up and start chewing.
The difference too is you have to also
I think that's
understand
Swedish.
Oh, sorry.
the reindeer are the
Sven?
only
No.
species of deer that can actually be domesticated. So to answer your question, that'd be like eating your puppy. Well, you don't want to do that now
No,
because
you don't.
so again,
Times are tough.
some of the other reindeer, and plus too, you start looking at Lapland and Finland and all those other countries, you have to survive in the extreme conditions in the first place. That's why Santa's reindeer are special and they stay with him.
Like when Han cut that tauntaun open so Luke wouldn't
Yeah.
freeze on whatever that.
Great reference.
planet
That was on Hoth. We all know Hoth.
there
Come
we-
on now.
was. Sorry.
And I don't think Han did that. That was Luke trying to stay warm because
got
he
it.
sacrificed his own tauntaun.
You know, when I watch Star Wars, the most frozen person I've ever seen is Hayden Christensen trying to play Anakin Skywalker. But that's a whole different topic. Whole different topic.
All right. Do you have an opinion? What do you think about like SantaCon? SantaCon just happened in New York City, where a bunch of people, party, get hammered drunk at Santa.
well,
Is
that-
A
giving
different
you
kind of dust you referenced
Yes.
earlier.
is it giving you a bad
The
name?
nog.
To be honest with those type of conventions are ones that I chose to stay away. A big convention that'll be coming up here shortly is in April in Gatlinburg, Tennessee.
April?
It does. It's the Santa family reunion.
Well, they're
The
working at
entire
Christmas.
The entire Santa family takes over Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So you're going to have 300, 400, 500 people all gathered for a week-long series of classes, fellowship. At one point, Gatlinburg would shut down the entire city. So you just see a giant parade of Santa and his cousins and nieces and nephews and brothers and sisters all walking down the street. To give you another example, that happens in 2023, and it happens every other year. In 2024, in Memphis, Tennessee, it'll be the IBERBs, or International Brotherhood for Real Bearded Santas organization, will be throwing a convention on as well.
What is it about Tennessee?
Centrally located.
Yeah.
Are
you
you-
can say Merry Christmas. By the way, where do you fall on that? Can Santa say Happy Holidays also?
Santa can say Happy
whatever he
Holidays,
wants.
Feliz Navidad,
Okay.
Happy Kwanzaa, Merry Christmas.
Okay.
Don't try to cancel Christmas on
I'm
Santa.
not trying to cancel. I'm just curious where Santa falls on that.
On the
Say whatever
issue
he
of
wants. He's Santa.
on the issue of diversity, the real diversity at this school is in things like bearded and not bearded Santas.
true.
And is there weight diversity too, or
Oh,
do you
yes.
have to? I mean, what are the requirements to get into school? Do you got to have a beard,
Well,
be a
the
little
check has to
portly? They have
Not
scholarships,
quite.
I think.
There are a few scholarships available through other organizations such as IBERBs. There's other groups that actually help create opportunity itself. There is a diverse in Santas. There are some Santas who were rather large cookie zones who realized due to health reasons they ended up losing pounds. But that can all be supplemented by wearing the traditional fat suit.
Okay.
Bearded and real bearded. There are two different schools of thoughts. The original Santa Clauses, one that are actually created by Charles W. Howard, were all traditional or theatrical bearded. They used the yak hair sets. And that was one of the important things that he wanted to teach people, was to be consistent with your look. If we all look alike, then everybody will believe and there'll be one common thread. Now that we get more into diversity, there are a lot of gentlemen who have real beards,
Okay.
real mustaches, and portray Santa 365 days a year.
So you couldn't be a Santa, Mike. in
I
that
could
category,
be.
'cause-
Charles Howard was thinking of guys like me when he started,
could-
because I could be as splendid here as my colleague, because I'd have some spirit
I
gum,
could
and there we
teach
go.
you. I could teach you to be a Santa in a matter of a few days.
Now, are there cool Santas who kind of do like the goatee and sunglasses?
Ride a
Or is that,
Harley.
is
I
that
ha- there's
yeah?
a-
Is that frowned upon?
No, actually, it's not, because one of the things that I really found that's really interesting is the number of motorcycle enthusiasts
Oh, sure.
who carry on the Santa tradition, and the number of veterans, especially the Vietnam War veterans.
They're incredibly
who-
generous,
Exactly,
with
who
their
are
time
giving
and money.
back to the community, who are really striving. I mean, we have to love the Marine Corps with their Toy for Tots drive.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
We have to love all the different organizations, but not just those. The Salvation Army and other such groups as that.
What's your least favorite thing about the Christmas season?
The least favorite.
Got to be something.
To
And don't
be-
say Hanukkah.
No, I love Hanukkah. Hanukkah Harvey is one of my favorite people as well, too.
Hanukkah
And he
Harvey.
works.
It's an SNL reference.
He works 12 days a week. He's making Santa look like a
on
slacker.
Herschel on Shlomo, isn't
That's
it?
right.
There you go. Yeah.
No, to be honest with you, the hardest thing about Christmas is not having enough time to be able to see everyone. between working at the North Pole and coming back down and trying to see everybody and everyone does become a little bit
overwhelming.
Overwhelming
maybe?
is a great word for it. But that's why there's so many Santa ambassadors. That's why there's so many people that you can go to the mall and get your picture taken with Santa, or you can have a visit at a school and the students get an opportunity.
The school visits are fascinating to me because there's always going to be one smart ass. There's always going to be one punk in a class. How do you handle that when they're like, you're trying to ruin it for everybody?
A really good example is this. I was at a school before I came on today, and the child asked, Santa, what's my name?
Oh, well, that's a great question.
And it's a great question
for Santa, yeah.
And of course, what would be the most obvious answer? You're starting to think in your mind, if you're a new Santa, is
depends on the school.
What am I doing?
I just say Matt.
No, you
say
better than
Santa.
that. You get ahead and you just start going, your name is blah, blah, blah. No, it's
Beelzebub.
not. No, not
What?
Beelzebub.
Oh.
Beelzebub. The reason for it is, up at the North Pole, we speak only Elfish, and all our records are kept in Elfish. And the child will go, well, my name is Max, Santa. That's what I said. Your name is Max that way. The other question that's always fun, too, is if you
Santa would be tough to depose in a lawsuit. He's got an answer for everything.
It's sadistic in a way.
The other aspect is, Santa, what's my name? Well, I can't use my magic that I use at Christmas and to tell your name right now. If I were to do that, then every one of the people that are in this room right now would lose a present at Christmas.
Oh, wow.
That automatically shuts down any further questions about what's my name, where do I live?
Yeah, no
but that's
one
another common question. Santa, if you're the real Santa, where do I live? 36 degrees north by 37 degrees south, 0.652. No, I don't, Santa. I live at 17 da-da-da. And it's like, you don't understand. I don't fly my sleigh at street level. That's how I avoid the traffic constraints and construction. We're up in the air.
Think about that.
Every elf has
Reindeer.
labeled a house on the roof with an address.
How about this question? Santa, why do you land on everybody's roof? Why not just land in the middle of the street and do that block? And then, kind of like the mailman does.
Because every dog, every person that stays up late, every insomniac would then see the sleigh. And the next thing you know is 911, there's a stranger on my front lawn.
It's one on my roof. Now he's on my neighbor's roof.
How many people look up at the roof?
So, Santa, how do you handle tough questions like why aren't my parents together, or why is Grandpa dead?
Those are very good questions. And
can you bring back my dog?
Well, see, and that brings us up a good
I'm
point.
Santa. I'm not Jesus.
Well, you know what? I brought my bag. I brought my bag of tricks here.
Whoa.
And let me see if I can find it here. Oh my goodness, where did it go?
The Home Depot?
Sam Adams Yuletide Ale, I'm hoping here. That's on my list.
Here it is. I have here with me. And this is a
nothing like props. Props always distract.
Props work so well.
Yes, they distract.
When asked with those tough questions.
It better not be that yellow dust. Man.
No, I didn't bring that with me.
I'm still hungover.
One of the hardest questions, especially at this time,
wake you up.
is COVID. Yeah. COVID, a very touchy subject with children. I've visited with children who basically have just gotten over it, lost people from it, and they want to know why I can't bring back a grandparent or a parent, or as I like to refer to them, they're grown-ups. And I say,
just say they were evil and there was
no, because there's no such thing as evil.
Better off.
Well, what I tell them is simply this.
There's no such thing as evil?
No. There's no such thing, in my opinion, of an evil child.
Oh, an evil child.
An evil child.
No,
There's evil adults, but we're not going to talk
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, it's the babysitter who my dad hooked up with is evil. She's gone.
Well, that's a different thing. And but for that, your particular question,
Dad's getting high-fived on that one.
I have this little red book here, and I tell the child, Santa, the Christmas magic doesn't allow me to bring a person back. I don't have that power to have your grown-ups reconcile. But what I can do is this. If you'd like, I can write your name down in my book. And then I can actually say a prayer. And if you'd like, we could say one right now. And then when I go back to the North Pole, Mrs. Claus and I, when we say our prayers in the evening, will consider you amongst our prayers. And we will hope that we'll get there.
But Santa, I'm atheist.
That's not bad.
And that's perfectly fine too. But again, I've also
I
been
don't think a kid is going to go, but Santa, I'm atheist.
Oh,
that's what you say. Just work with me,
or
kid.
do they?
You'll be amazed at what some of the kids come out. I've had one child that came to me one day and said, Santa, am I on the good list? Well, yes, you are, dear. Yes, you are on the good. How about my father? I said, you know what? I believe he's on the good list. And her response to me was, no, he's not. He beats me.
Oh, God.
And what do you do at that point? Luckily for me, I was in a school and I just looked up at the teacher and I went,
yeah.
And that ended that conversation at that point there. But another
Do you
thing,
have?
Are
do
you
you
a
have
mandatory
do you have to-
reporter?
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
yes,
You are.
Yes.
You really are. Holy smokes!
When
This
we-
is a
actually awesome.
complicated gig.
Oh, that's awesome, though.
when I mean,
Santa
you have
narc.
to. You have to.
Good for you.
You have to realize that you're not just seeing your everyday child.
Yeah.
You might actually have children that have been abused, that are actually in situations that we don't want to really talk about. But even at the same time, too, I'm also tasked with visiting with autistic children, especially special children as well, too. And your tone has to change. And these are one of the things, too, that the Santa schools and the Santa community can really help, especially if you did desire to be a Santa. Again, one of the nice things, too, that they teach you at Santa school, and they only teach it briefly, but who saw Miracle on 34th Street from 1994?
I did.
Well, do you remember the
Great.
classic scene? Santa, you don't
it's
have
been a
to.
while.
You don't have to talk to her. She's deaf. She just wanted to see you. She wanted to touch your coat. No child should ever be forgotten. So one of the things at Santa school that they do teach you is Merry Christmas. Santa loves you.
Oh,
So
wow.
at least then
All right.
you can make that small impact for the child. Now, granted, everybody has to go on their own and take the basics and expand upon that. And I know some brilliant Santas who are fluent in sign language. I know Santas who basically are child psychologists that will break down. You and I were talking earlier where what is the age that a child stops believing? And it's normally right around the 9-10-year-old spot. Because at that point, they start developing their own logic, their own thought process. And then that's when they start questioning everything. But because what I do as a performance-based Santa is I try to provide stories that will actually allow the child to maybe conceive that it could be true. Sort of like, how do I get around the world in a day? Well, I don't. It's 3 days. I make a trip on December 6th, which is St. Nicholas Day. I make a trip on Epiphany, which is in January for our Orthodox brothers and sisters. Then, of course, on Christmas Eve. And there's 134 countries who
What if you're asked that question on December 6th, though?
And that's fine.
Do you have to keep
That's
your calendar
fine.
clear?
Because remember this way, too. No.
Well, they're not going to look it up.
The very first place I stop at technically is Christmas Island. And no, I'm not the person that made this up. I didn't name the, but when I start there, because it's on the left of the international date line, when it's midnight there on the 24th, it's only here in Michigan, 5 o'clock in the afternoon on December 23rd. So technically speaking, I have 36 hours to go, and I don't go around the world. I go up and down. This way I stay in the time zone and keep chasing the sun. Or the moon in this case.
What do you tell kids when they come to you and they don't believe anymore?
I try my best to go, but then what I do is start talking more history, more historical facts about them. Because like I said earlier, almost any child can pull up a cell phone or a computer and fact check you right on the spot. They will call you out without little regards. So again, I go and tell them the story of St. Nicholas. I go and tell them about the Bishop of Myra. Look as much as you want. I'm 1,754 years old. But if I want to actually have fun with the children, I'll use what they call cowboy poetry. And cowboy poetry is basically, you want to know how old I am? Oh, that's a bold question that you ask. Well, I'm so old, I once bought a toy ship to a boy named Columbus. I'm so old, in fact, I once brought paint to a young man named Leonardo. And these people, the children know who you're referring to. Yeah. And then it just blows their mind when they go from that because, again, you start playing on history and you start playing on that way. But there's also some other wonderful things that Charles Howard teaches, such as voice. We have a brilliant instructor. He is actually
I've yet to hear you go, ho, ho, ho.
Well, see,
that
again,
booming one.
That's another thing that they teach. And the ho, 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 we just don't go out like from the Christmas story going, ho, ho, ho. No, it's more of a laugh.
Okay, is
It's
that
from the belly?
Like Huel doing LOLs.
so?
Sounds like you, Mark.
Does that come from?
You could be Santa.
Maybe I will. Does that come from the Coca-Cola Santa? Like, where does ho 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 come from?
I think what happened is people actually started seeing Santa in comic strips, and just like we go when they go,
LOL.
well, ha ha,
Right.
Well, who do you know laughs ha ha ha? So when they started saying ho ho ho, it was interpreted that Santa's laugh, but people now just say ho ho ho.
Yeah. So is there a portrayal in popular culture that you just dislike? I mean, what do you think of Bad Santa? Have you seen Bad Santa?
For me, that's one of the ones that if I had to choose a portrayal of Santa, that's the worst one because they're embodying all the bad things about it. The drinking, the stealing, the sloppiness.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to remember, you're playing not only the best rock star in the world because everybody knows Santa. You're the most photographed individual in the world.
Yeah.
You don't want to walk in with your hat twisted, you're just disheveled and just looking a mess.
I think my favorite portrayal, and you mentioned the one, the guy from Christmas Story. That's but I really love Dan Aykroyd in Trading Spaces.
Oh, definitely was
with the ham,
Eddie Murphy, and just eating the ham just because he just picked it out of there.
He has a piece of salmon in it.
Exactly.
Salmon. Is that what it was?
It's a smoked. It's a smoked salmon. What about the elf? Excuse me, the Santa and elf.
Ed Asner.
That smells of not that.
Oh, you're talking the one that
smells of beef and cheese.
Well, yeah, but again, though,
I mean, you're vastly different from the last Santa we had last year. It was just a wild guard.
Blue Santa.
Yes,
but again,
or Bobby Bacalari as Santa in The Sopranos.
But again, they only picked Bobby because of the fact of his size, and he's the only one that would fit the suit. That's why they based, because you remember, what was it? Sal was the one before. Before, of course, we all know what happened with Tony and Sal there. Anyway.
I love that this Santa has an amazing pop culture reference.
Oh, Santa's doing great. Tom on Facebook says, great conversation and great Santa. And Lawrence says, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas,
so you're bringing
Lord.
the cheer.
Oh, wonderful. I'm glad everybody is having a good time.
So Bad Santa is not for you.
Rubs you the wrong way.
Right. And Bad Santa does. I mean, granted, like the Grinch.
Yeah.
He did have a change of heart when he met that one little boy who showed him the meaning of Christmas.
Yeah, but then they made a sequel.
And then they made a sequel, which is horrible.
Fell off
not
the
just
sleigh.
that a fact, but it's
So
just a movie.
Billy Bob Thornton and is it Lauren Graham who's in Bad Santa?
so, yeah.
When
First
they're
one.
we're in the car, right? And so that's not good.
No, that's not good at all.
Okay, I got
That's the ho, ho, ho.
That's the ho, ho, ho one.
I'm trying to think of
And
questions.
she says, "I've always had a thing for Santas." That's what I remember.
Well, who wouldn't like Santa? I mean, you talked a little bit
Jews?
about the poignant thing. What's going on over there, Yay?
I'm
Where
just saying,
Hey.
where kids who have something to say,
Kyrie.
who's the one person you could trust? Maybe you don't tell your teacher, maybe you don't tell a friend, maybe you don't tell a counselor, maybe you don't tell a parent, and you wait all year to tell Santa that thing, and so you can help people.
And that's true. That's very true. And
That's got to be very rewarding.
And it is. The best compliment that you can get is, "You're the real Santa," or just "Thank you." I mean, it's very cheesy. I was working with my wife. My wife is a photographer, and we were doing a little skit here, and the child came in, and the mother gave me the letter, of course, so we could read the letter together, and we went through a whole visit, and the very next day they went down to the DTE right there, the park right there.
Oh, yeah,
and they
Beacon
saw
Park.
another Santa at Beacon Park. They saw another Santa, and after the child left, the child looked at her mom and goes, "Mom, we saw the real Santa yesterday. This guy is just an imposter."
Oh, that's cold.
But it's that emotion. Because like you said, it's the trust factor.
It could
not
be the
cheesy.
green.
It could be the green. It could
I've
be.
come full circle on Santa because I just kind of loathed the whole.
When you were a kid, you loathed Santa.
I would
I don't
say when I
believe
was, believe it or not, I was very cynical at one point, Sean.
But you believed when you were little.
Oh yeah, no, without a doubt. But I was just like, oh my gosh, it's all
So you were crushed.
commercialization.
When you
It's
realized
all-
it wasn't real, that it was crushing.
I know because I'm talking about later, past that.
In
that
your
age.
powder days, so to speak.
But now when I have kids, it's like this is the greatest. This is the greatest thing you can ever tell kids because it's just a blast.
It really is.
Just imagine. I was telling him the story earlier with my girls. They saw the real Santa this year. They went up to Great Lakes Crossing and they said that was the real Santa because they quizzed them like crazy.
Right,
So
and that's just it. Having that constant answer without missing a beat. Just
I'm trying to think of other questions that they might ask you. I really just want. I want to stump you. So do they ever say, "Do you know the Easter Bunny or the Tooth Fairy?"
I have actually ran into the tooth fairy on the roof when the child lost a wisdom tooth. and they were wanting to come up and see how much they could get. Well, me and the Tooth Fairy ran into each other. Then we swapped candy cans, and then we told stories. Then I forgot about my rounds, so I only delivered one present to that house that day.
Okay, what about the Easter Bunny? You know the Easter Bunny?
Oh, the Easter Bunny and I go way back. Oh, do you know Mother Nature's two children, Heat Miser and Cold Miser? Oh, we have so much fun together. And Mrs. Claus, she loves to wear the spring flowers that Mother Nature brings in. Of course, those little chocolate bunnies. Oh, my goodness. But the next question you're going to ask me is, how do you get along with The Nightmare Before Christmas?
Oh, Jack Skellington.
Oh, Jack Skellington
Love
is
that
a
movie.
very good friend of mine. And in some cases, he's always on reserve in case I cannot make my rounds.
Yeah.
But it hasn't happened so far, so he's always prepared for it.
That's is that a Christmas movie or is that a Halloween movie?
I view it as a Christmas movie.
Do you
just
really?
like I view Die Hard as a Christmas movie.
Oh, Die Hard.
Is that Santa's
Die
favorite
Hard.
Christmas movie?
Absolutely.
No, Santa's favorite Christmas movie is Santa Claus is Coming to Town.
Oh,
I
really?
love the Rankin Bass films.
Oh, they are
The
great.
earlier
Big
claymation
Hermie
puppetry.
fan myself.
Well, Hermie is awesome. And of course, you can't forget Yukon Cornelius and Bumble and all the wonderful ones. But then again, you start getting into the Cricket of Times Square or the Little Drummer Boy or wonderful stories. Or even to Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. If you haven't seen it, I look it up. Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. It was done by
It was
Henson.
the Muppet Show,
It was
right?
part
Yeah.
of the Muppets, but oh my goodness, they have a good classic rock track in there because it's all a music thing. And Emmett plays a little banjo. It's a beautiful story.
What about Frosty? I can't stand Frosty.
Frosty is a wonderful one, but Frosty does not live with me at the North Pole.
What?
He does not. No, because his little hat, the silk hat with the magic that was left in there, was what keeps Frosty around. So
Why don't you like Frosty?
Because I have to read it and hear it way too much.
I do have a question for you, Santa. Why,
He hates Jimmy Durante. That's the real reason.
Oh, I do. I hate that song.
why don't we make Christmas music anymore that
do.
replaces, that becomes classic?
because
When
honestly,
all other music we do.
because I believe pop music more or less goes through a machine, sort of like early Motown, where it was boom, 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 and it just gets out there, and everybody doesn't use originality anymore.
But there's some. I mean, look, Mariah Carey. I know that's now 30 years old, so it's getting up there, right? But
But
And
when you
Paul-
look at
Paul
it,
McCartney.
how many times can you listen to say the version like My Favorite Things? How many artists have do My Favorite Things? And artists are just basically recycling the Christmas music that have always been popular.
well, there was a string there. I would say in the 70s where bands. Well, I just found out there's BTO did "Taking Care of Christmas," which is terrible song.
Yeah, but how do you
this
beat
this
Nat King Cole or Bing Crosby,
Or
right?
Gene Autry, or
Yeah.
well, again, my favorite. I'm sorry.
I'm trying to think of the "Baby Come Home for Christmas," the "Darling Love." I mean, come on,
but
"Darling Love," fantastic.
Santa baby.
Yeah, but
Eartha Kitt.
Eartha Kitt did
Yeah.
it so much better, and even
Yeah.
Madonna's version was
Oh, that was
good.
garbage. That one was garbage. But Kelly Clarkson put out a new album.
Madonna
that has
visited a
some
lot
really
of
good
houses.
songs.
True, true, very
Madonna
true.
visited a lot.
I want to know where the next Vince Giraldi trio is, right? With skating and
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
so then you look at Gary Hoey. Have you ever heard Gary Hoey?
Oh yeah, Gary
songs?
Hoey is fantastic for it.
Awesome. He's really good. All Christmas songs on
But
guitar, all instrumental.
I do feel you. I mean, for the simple fact is, there are no more Vince Giraldi trio. There's no more popular jazz musicians or trios or quartets that come out that can actually compose newer music. I mean, you have to admit, Schultz with the Peanuts group was way beyond their time.
Oh,
because
that-
you do know who are all the voices of the children, don't you?
I have no
They
idea.
actually hired children to do the voices of
Oh,
Charlie
wow.
Brown, Sally, and the likes. So when you hear them sing Christmas time, that is beautiful.
I know.
It is the best.
Listen to this. I mean, it's
Exactly.
There actually is a great acoustic version of My Favorite Things that's done by a Detroit guy, Kenny Burrell, on guitar. It's fantastic. Kenny died a few years ago, but that's one of my favorite Christmas songs of all time. It's just it's like this. It's so melodic and so soothing, and it sounds so good. And
For me, is like I mentioned earlier, the professor that's at the University of Windsor, he was part of the Holiday Pops in Windsor, and they just released a new album, which is great because they have one is called The Porcupine and the Pine Tree, which is derivative from the 12 Days of Christmas. And it was just fine.
Sean is so getting off.
I've been at this podcast in this basement for 3 years, and I've never heard music, and this is the first time, and it's kind of incredible.
Oh, and we've been doing the show for 4 years. So
Vince Guaraldi and this whole soundtrack from Merry Christmas, Charlie Brown is beautiful, especially too at the very end when they're all at Snoopy's doghouse and they put up the wonderful tree, and you just see them all around after Linus tells the true story of Christmas.
Listen to that.
Skating with Linus and
exactly that's what
Linus
this is.
Woodstock,
Lucy.
maybe?
Woodstock on there, but Snoopy on the ice. This is beautiful.
Let me ask you, Santa, and I'm curious, and maybe this is just me, but there's a slight melancholy quality to some of this music too. It's joyful, but it's also real in a way, and I wonder if that's why it's lasted.
I think you're absolutely right, because the fun part is this is the music that the adults have grown up with now. For them, this brings them back to their childhood. And it's funny because when you sit there and you actually analyze the Christmas special, that's all it talks about is commercialism.
Yeah.
And it also forgets the main pretense of why we're here. And it's the
Jesus.
joy. One of the things that people have to say, and this is another thing they talk about there at Charles Howard, is when asked about Santa, I am Santa. I am the embodiment of the Christmas spirit to provide sharing and love amongst those of the world. And when you start looking at it like that, anybody can be a Santa.
Sean is so getting off.
I'm going to have to excuse myself. I need to go cry.
yeah.
Cry?
Santa, we know you are in demand these days. We are
How about this version?
It's a good
close to Christmas. Maybe you're hearing this episode just after Christmas. But Teeb says, Santa, you're looking svelte. Elise is digging the music too. I guess Giraldi's gone. Now we went to Greg Giraldi, but on guitar. But we really appreciate you coming in.
I really appreciate having the opportunity and meeting you all. And just remember out there.
I can't believe this is
What's
what we're
wrong?
into.
This is Linus and Lucy still.
It
What's
is
wrong with
Linus
that?
and Lucy. Is this Huey?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
But this isn't your speed? Why? Because there's a guitar? He's so bummed now. God, he went from elated just to being. This is a great Christmas tune.
He does put out a very good Christmas album. It was very good. But again,
Great
now we're
guy.
looking at Kurt Russell in the Christmas Chronicles when he broke out with that riff when he was in prison, and he brought all the convicts, the instruments, which was kind of nice because you had Silvio from The Sopranos in there.
Right.
So
I would encourage Santa to revisit Bad Santa and maybe give it another chance.
Well, if you're watching us on Facebook or YouTube, we encourage you to subscribe and follow us. But if you're listening to us, go to our YouTube channel, ML Elric. You will see a Christmas miracle. I saw Sean smiling and happy. These things happen because of our guest, Michael Buer. You know him as Santa. He's coming to a chimney near you. Safe travel, Santa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas again, everyone.
You don't look a year over $16.99.
I appreciate that.
Oh man, the geeks have inherited the earth.
Did I do that?
What a dork.
Does him wanting to play with us again mean that he's turning into a geek, or we're turning into cool guys?
Well, Santa is not our Geek of the Week, and before we tell you who is, we want to tell you a little bit about some
you can
guys
hang, Santa. You can comment on the rest of the show. It doesn't have to be
who
about
will
you.
save you some money, starting with Luke.
yeah.
So your
Forgot about
your Christmas wish may be good advice and sound investments and planning wisdom for your retirement. You don't have to wish. You just have to call our friend Luke Nowacki at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies.
Yeah, because if you get a big financial decision, which a lot of people do, they're buying tons of stuff right now, spending a lot of money. So it's important to know how these decisions are going to affect your current and future financial goals. Luke Nowacki's got a full team at Pinnacle Wealth Strategies. They're going to help you plan for all these goals. What are you going to do? Stocks, bonds, 529, what does that even mean? No one knows. No one knows any of this stuff. So just give Luke a call.
Like Trump says.
248-663-4748. Complimentary consultation to see if your plans align with your goals. Because
when you call Luke, he'll make it all about you, sweetheart.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Royal Alliance Associates Inc. Member FINRA SIPC. Royal Alliance Associates Inc. is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Royal Alliance Associates Inc.
Now, this is crucial. If you want Santa to come down your chimney, you have to have a chimney. And if you want a chimney, you probably got to buy a house. And if you want to buy a house, you got to get a mortgage. And if you want to get a mortgage, you want to get a good deal. And that is where our not-so-secret Santa, David Hall, comes in.
Yeah, rates are kind of all over the place, but, you got to keep up. You got to check. So why not give Hall Financial a shot? 866-CALL-HALL or chat with them online, callhallfirst.com. Find out where those rates are going to be. You can get a free 5-minute mortgage review with Hall Financial. It's all it takes. And because it's the holiday season, once again, very expensive. Credit card interest rates are the highest they've been since 1996, believe it or not. So the other thing Hall Financial can do, they can help you become debt-free. You can get a cash-out refinance from Hall. It's a great way to use the equity in your home to pay off those credit card debts. So get the money you need right now. Cash-out refinance, Hall Financial. Once again, 866-CALL-HALL or chat with them online at callhallfirst.com.
I've done 2 deals with Hall. They get my 5-star rating, and I think they'll earn yours too. So when you give them a call, let them know that ML sent you, and you can find a link to their website on our website, which is mlsoulofdetroit.com.
I do have a question. Do people call you ML? Like if you're out
Santa?
on the street. Hey, ML.
Santa, they call me.
Hey, ML.
Yeah,
is that what they say?
That's ML.
That's elfish.
Hey, ML. Nice to see you. Is that what they do? Is that what happens?
They do.
Okay.
They do.
Just curious.
Sounds like you're furious.
That's all I've ever called him. I never call him Mike.
Really?
Yeah, never.
I like calling him Mikey.
You can call me what you like.
Mr. Elwick is what he insisted on for years.
I think sir.
Mister.
I try and keep it informal but simple.
Yeah.
Mister.
It's a little too personal.
That always bothers me when I'm sending an email.
What, Mr. Elric at my
You don't have to
email?
give out your email address. I'm just saying it has the word Mister in it.
Well, because Elric was already taken.
I'm sure, but it was very, very formal.
Well, it is a time for.
So we played the Geek of the Week music, and then
ceremony.
we went to a couple of sponsors. Do we have a Geek of the Week? Or
We
not?
do.
God, wow.
We do. In fact,
No, I'm just curious because that was an interesting.
You in a hurry? What do you
no,
got,
no,
toys to build?
No, it was just an interesting transition for our nice sponsors.
well, we wanted to let people know how they can take advantage of these great deals and these
No, I
these
think
fine
that's great.
opportunities.
That's great. Yeah.
So I keep forgetting that Shawn always has an elaborate plan laid out for us, and if we forget to follow it, there will be
He never tells
consequences.
anybody else what it is.
I never have any kind of plans.
No one ever knows what your plan is.
Oh, I don't either. I mean,
Exactly.
there's no plan.
It's
Do you have a Geek of the Week?
it's like Seinfeld without the funny parts. Yes, Prince Harry, and this may be on
Amen.
somebody's Christmas list, but his memoir Spare is going to come out on January 10th. A lot of people have been clamoring for this.
No one has.
Penguin Random House calls it a story told with raw, unflinching honesty, filled with insight, revelation, self-examination, hard-won wisdom about the eternal power of love over grief.
Come on.
For Harry, this is his story at last.
Yeah, because he has such trouble getting his story out, doesn't he?
Well, that's the thing. The guy, I want to get out of public life. I want to be divorced from all the
I want
pomp
my
and
privacy.
circumstances. Now he's doing Netflix series. He's got a podcast. And let me tell you, that space is crowded with the podcast. We don't need any more podcasts.
Santa, has he been naughty or nice?
I refuse not to answer that one. I'm not going to tell who's on the nice or naughty list.
We need to ask Father Christmas. We got to get
That's
the
right.
There you go.
guy
Father
in
Christmas
here.
hates Harry.
Yeah. Here's what Father Christmas said. Here's the drop. Wanka. So, but he will be getting something. That's Irish Santa, but he's known
What is
as
Santa in Irish?
Saint Syphilis.
Father Christmas.
Not Saint Syphilis.
original.
He just sips a little bit. But
What does Santa think of the royal family, by the way, since we're here?
I'm not Santa. Don't look at me.
No,
I'm beardless Santa. I'm
The royal family has provided many opportunities for many in England, and they strive to actually keep, as the Queen liked to put it, service above all else.
Hey, there you go. Good
That's a
answer.
nice answer.
See?
You thought Santa went to sleep on us there?
No, I didn't.
You have not been paying attention.
I
This
knew
man
he would
is a
have
graduate and an instructor at the Charles W. Howard Santa Claus School. You cannot get up early enough to beat this man.
I knew he would have a nice, good answer,
Oh, so is a setup?
a positive answer.
As
No.
part of your elaborate game
No.
plan for today's episode?
Santa, how come you never had kids with Mrs. Claus? Is that a question kids ask?
I do.
Okay.
And
We're all his children.
No, you're not Santa. Shut
Oh,
up.
sorry. Sorry, Sean, I
look
thought
at
he
it
gave
like
me
this.
a one-day pass.
Mrs. Claus and I take care of the elves and help the elves out, and they become just like our children. And we look at all the children of the world as ours itself. We're very lucky that they have a lot of good foster parents and all the listeners out here right now. So this is one of the reasons why I don't believe there's no such thing as a naughty child.
Yeah.
They're all very good. They sometimes make wrong choices, but they're still very good.
Isn't it easier to say Mrs. Claus is barren or something?
Have you ever picked up
Yeah,
a
you
child?
suggest there's a problem with his peppermint stick?
No, Mrs. Claus.
Oh, my
I'll
goodness.
say that. Let me just say
Santa,
something.
I'm
This
sorry.
is becoming a bad Santa situation here.
I'm sorry about
Santa's
that,
about
Santa.
to lose his diploma.
Let me ask you, though, Santa, have you ever picked
I'll
up
make it
a
worse,
child
Santa.
in an orphanage, accidentally crawled into your gift sack,
No, because if that would
and
have
then
happened.
raised him as your own?
No, I have not. No, there's no such thing as the Buddy the Elf situation, because I know that's what you're alluding to. And we don't have Papa Elf because Will Ferrell would just be too tall for everything at the North Pole anyway, except, of course, sports. Because, we play football up at the North Pole. And I'm the star player because everybody else is only about 3 feet tall. So it's like,
And basketball.
I
You probably
win.
dominated.
You hike the ball to yourself
Exactly,
and then run
yep.
for a touchdown every
I would
time.
Make
think
the other
Santa-
team go away for 7 apple, and we play that way.
Because of his size and the weight, I think Santa would just be all-time quarterback, so he doesn't have to run around just chuck balls at elves.
You hike it to yourself and then go.
Yes,
I
that's
think
true.
I think my favorite Christmas parody is the Saturday Night Live with Alec Baldwin, where he does the Glenn Ross speech.
Oh, yeah, ABC.
But he's
Always
at-
be
he-
cobbling.
Always be cobbling, and he's at Santa's like, I drove here in a sleigh. You drove here in this muffin. It was fantastic. So
I'm going to make Shawn because of parody remind him. I'm going to make you very angry. Do you like?
I don't get angry, really.
Yeah, you do. Do you like this song? Is this one of your favorite Christmas songs? You know this song, right?
Oh boy,
Jingle Bell Rock, Brenda Lee.
I'm not sure about that.
It's the Bobby Helms version.
Oh, Bobby Helms, okay.
Do you like this one?
That's fine.
Have you ever heard the best version of it?
Oh, let me hear.
Should I do it, ML?
Is this the explicit one?
Santa, will you cover your ears?
Go ahead.
Oh boy,
You ready?
Go ahead.
I'm not
I can't believe I'm
responsible
doing
for what's
this.
about to happen.
Okay, that's enough, though.
That's let's just put it this way.
Sean, do you have an opinion on it?
Not really.
That's for other people who are hung with care, not just stockings. So
He's going Santa. He won't stop.
I wanted you to get
He
really
mentioned the
bummed out.
peppermint stick, and now
I
he
know.
won't
there-
stop.
We're right on the edge, ML. Right on the edge
Oh,
here.
see, there he called the ML. That should make you feel good.
this is
You're
I am trying to
self-ascribed
get onto the nice list. So we're
initials.
going to cut it off right there.
No,
Hold
Mom.
on, wait a minute there.
Mark, on the other hand, he's almost bypassed it now.
I mean, Mark is not usually like this, Santa. I'm
It just
sorry.
makes me laugh. It's
Is there a-
It is just such a bad parody.
Well, okay, why don't you cue up the Jerky Boys next?
I think
Oh,
there's
what's wrong with
a.
that?
Next thing you know, it'll be Run DMC, Christmas in Hollis.
Now that's my favorite Christmas song.
Time
of all
and
time.
Hollis Queens.
But yeah, Mark, I think there must be a serious coal shortage at your house that you're trying to alleviate right now.
What's the myth or the legend of the coal? Where did the coal start? I meant to ask you that earlier.
Well, from me, I don't
Still
give.
trying to stump the experts.
I don't give coal because a child's been naughty. I look at it this way. When I leave coal for a child, it's not because they've been naughty or done something bad or made a poor decision. I leave coal as a reminder. Because what happens to coal when you have constant pressure that puts to it?
You get a diamond, baby.
You get a diamond. So the children who basically make a bad decision once in a while or doesn't listen to their grown-ups, they're not quite to a diamond yet. So therefore, the coal is there to act as a reminder that you still can be good. Now remember, we only have, 3 more days till Christmas Eve. So there's still time. There's still time to get on the good list.
so they could, but it could also burn the
work
coal,
on that
right?
playlist.
You can burn the coal
and
too.
heat their
keep-
home.
Exactly.
Maybe-
And that's another way to look at it
Maybe their
too.
dad didn't pay the electric bill, so coal would be great.
It could happen. And if you have trouble with the electric bill, you should reach out to the Heat and Warmth Fund. They'll help you.
That's true as well.
Electric bill. So, so Santa, we're going to play a Christmas tune. I don't know if you've heard this one before, but if you like The White Wedding, it's time for a man who's gone from white weddings to white Christmases with his own Christmas covers album. We're speaking of none other than Billy Idol, who does a unforgettable version of Silver Bells. And wait for the ending because it's Billy opening his heart to all the good little girls and boys.
Silver bells, silver bells, it's Christmas time in the city. Christmas Day. City sidewalks, busy sidewalks, dressed in holiday style. In the air, there's a feeling of Christmas. Children laughing, people passing, greeting smile after smile. And on every street corner, you'll hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Strings of streetlights, even starlights, blink a bright red and green as the shoppers rush home with their treasures. Hear the snow brush, hear the kids laugh. This is Santa's big scene. And above all the glitter, you'll hear silver bells, silver bells. It's Christmas time in the city. Ring-a-ling, hear them ring. Soon it will be Christmas Day. Soon it will be Christmas Day. This is Billy Idol. I want to wish you a happy holiday and a very merry new year.
What great pipes. I mean, I don't think he's a great singer, but I love that raspiness.
You don't think he's a good singer? I think he's a good singer. No?
But if you listen to the whole album, he's not that great through the whole thing. Some of this, I think he does Frosty the Snowman. I'm just like, I'm like, Billy, come on. But that's a nice version of
that was nice.
Silver Bells.
Can we get to what was really interesting while we were listening to that? Can Santa tell our listeners, because Mark asked him a great question. We're ranking Goodfellas. Because Santa's
a huge mob
is
fan.
a mob aficionado, yeah.
Well, when you deal
Santa's a family guy. He's a family man.
Exactly.
So no bad Santa, but you love the Sopranos, Goodfellas, and The Godfather. Can you rank them and tell us why?
As I said,
Mark asked.
as I said during the break, it's not the mafia. It's not what they do that Santa likes. It's the loyalty. It's the family. It's the traditions that even resides within spirit. Now, the question was rate or rank.
Yeah.
The Godfather, Sopranos, and then Goodfellas. And that's how I rank them. Godfather 1, the original, the best mob movie that you can actually come up to. 2 was awesome, but the best version is the one Coppola actually intertwined and showed it in chronological order. So you get to see Don Corleone leave Sicily and come to the United States as young and then breach into when he had his family.
Wait, what version is, that's a version?
Yes, that is
it's
a
like
version.
the complete God. They do it in chronological. Stop before you get to the third one. And
the third one you might as well just toss out because it's horrible. Yeah. Now, the second aspect is The Sopranos. From an entertainment standpoint, one of the main themes from the entire series was Tony's devotion to family, not just his own family, but to the family that he built around him. And it's just like, it's just like all of us. We can't do anything about the family we're born into, but we can develop a family around us. And this is what we do at the North Pole.
I'm so glad the Sopranos, they slowly phased out Dr. Malfi. I was a little worn out on that. No?
Rumor has it
Lorraine Bracco?
Yeah,
Lorraine Bracco was supposed to be playing Tony's wife, and she felt that she would also be typecast because of her role in The Goodfellas.
Sure.
Which the
Karen!
The Goodfellas was good up until Henry Hill went to prison the first time, and he got into the drug trade, which, if you remember, all his mentors told him, don't do it.
Paul Sorvino was very, very
Paul Sorvino, who shaved garlic with a razor blade.
Right, because that's the only way you can make the best marinara in prison.
Because it melts.
It melts when you fry it.
To me, as a piece of art, though, The Sopranos is and acting and all is at the top.
Is it a Christmas show, Sopranos?
It's very new wave.
No, but they had. What? Now, here's a question that we're talking about the
You want to
Sopranos.
say new? My favorite Don Corleone role is in The Freshman,
Oh, yes. When you
which is my favorite sort of mob
which is
movie
actually
ever.
kind of funny when you have Matthew Broderick in there as well too. But the other one too is
Put a contract on Matthew Broderick.
Do kids ever ask you these kind of questions?
no, but I do get questions like, is Buddy real? Is Rudolph always like he is? Is Hermie still a dentist? And everything along those lines. But again, those are always the fun things about it. Just like what we talked about, is Die Hard an actual Christmas movie?
Yes, it is.
And in my opinion, it is. It takes place at Christmas.
Well, I can answer the Hermie question because dentists are notoriously bad at saving. They don't go see Luke. They just think they're going to make money forever, so they work forever. They never get to retire because they're very, very bad investors.
No, he wanted to make it back about him, so he mentioned Hermie.
He wants to get back to the
Santa mentioned Hermie.
I mentioned Hermie.
Oh, sorry, my fault.
Santa and I work
my
in
bad.
Santa and I work in concert because we listen to each other. We don't just
we play. We have fun. This is a safe place.
And as a mandatory reporter, he knows about safe places. Well, we want to thank some people who made Christmas especially bright for us this year. Those are our donors. Bryant sent us, once again, a generous contribution with this note. Merry Christmas, guys. Between the pennies ad at the beginning of the podcast and ML's impassioned plea, it's clear some shekels are needed. So there's a shout out to Hanukkah and Harry as well.
Thank you.
And you may have noticed we have some ads playing at the beginning of the show and after the show. That's part of a desperate bid to make more money off of this endeavor. But really, those ads
Santa, can you bring us $1 million?
Personally crafted for you based on your listening and browsing habits.
Well, remember, the currency at the North Pole is in candy canes. So if you want 1 million candy canes, I don't think you'll get much for them.
Can't you just say
Santa would be happy to grant your wish.
Oh, now we're going Beavis and Butthead. Oh, my goodness.
the best Santa representation?
This
Santa
show is
Butthead.
all Butthead, no Beavis. and we also want to thank Dennis for making a contribution. If you have it in your heart to make a non-tax deductible donation before the end of the year, you can do so. Mark, what's that little Christmas miracle opportunity network?
Oh, mlsolodetroit.com, and then the little donate button will open up your PayPal.
Just
so
put
you
it
can
on
empty
there.
it in ours.
Make that donation before the end of the year. There's no tax advantage whatsoever, but there's a great advantage for us, so we really appreciate that. Feedback. We have one letter. Last week, Shawn was on furlough from the Detroit Free Press. We are taking a week of unpaid pay, each of us, to help keep the company going. I'm on unpaid furlough this week, and so I made an appeal to please subscribe to the Free Press. It's 99 cents a month. They're
Sorry to interrupt.
unpaid.
I know, but so why did you say unpaid furlough? I was just curious if there was a paid furlough I didn't know about.
You're the guy who wants this show to wrap up sooner, right? So,
I was just curious.
Well, because there may be people
Because
who are
you're
not,
a union guy, you know.
there may be people who are not familiar with the term furlough. We try and make this show accessible to everybody,
Okay.
whether they're in the mob
I can tell
or
by
not.
the music.
Well, you didn't like that Vince Giraldi?
Oh, that was beautiful.
As I've said 186 times to date, you're always welcome to suggest a song if you don't like what we're playing.
Do you want this again?
Naughty lists with a bullet. So
Rising
Daniel,
fast.
Daniel did subscribe. By the way, it's 99 cents for a year. No, $9.99 for a year. As I was saying, to try and save some jobs before I was interrupted by someone who wanted me to get out my dictionary. ML, I was shocked to hear that Shawn had been put on furlough from the paper. I can't bear to think of Shawn shivering in the cold while sitting on the Zeeb Road exit of I-94 with a "I'll write for food" sign. So I subscribed to the Free Press. I hope it helps, Dan. It certainly does.
That's very kind.
Very nice.
Makes a great Christmas gift. And for those of you who appreciate Shawn's insightful writing about sports or my investigative reporting, we're going to be facing some layoffs next year. We don't know how many. It could be a dozen. It could be a little more. It could be a little less. Some of the best things in life are free. News is not one of them. So if you don't mind subscribing, we really appreciate it. And it would make the Christmas of a lot of people who are sitting here thinking, am I going to have a job here next year? The answer is we don't know. But if you subscribe, go to freep.com or go to our website, mlsoulofdetroit.com. I'll have a link to my latest column, basically calling the Senate Majority Leader who failed to enact reforms that would open government and bring accountability.
That's a really good column.
A bigger scandal in Lee Chatfield, because really, if you didn't feel a need to respond to what Lee Chatfield did this year, you just don't give a damn about good government. And we'll have a link at the end of that to let you know how you can
That was a good column, and that's very kind for the subscription. And by the way, the reference to Zeeb Road and asking for food on the side of the Zeeb Road makes me think of a German restaurant that's right there, actually,
That's
94 and
Gers.
Zeeb Road. And I wanted to ask Santa, first of all, if you like German food, but generally, what is Santa's favorite food? Don't say cookies.
He does not look
Please.
discriminate with
Reindeer.
his diet habits.
Reindeer?
Well, I am in love with German food, especially Wiener Schnitzel.
I knew you were going to say schnitzel.
But Santa's favorite cookie, now remember this, is anyone that's round. So it means but I enjoy all food. I enjoy crepe Suzette. I enjoy haggis. I enjoy fish and chips. I even enjoy escargot. Oh my goodness. And I am a big fan of sushi.
There we go.
All right.
Took us around the world there a little bit.
That's, and that Wiener Schnitzel is the name of that song Mark was trying to play earlier.
Oh, do you want another one? Okay.
No, we're good. Moving on.
What are you talking about?
boy.
He had to get back there again, Santa. I'm sorry.
ML brought it up. I don't even know what this
I
one is.
opened the door and
Wiener Schnitzel.
and he
This one
barged,
sounds nice so far, doesn't it?
He barged
Not really.
right through.
What?
So we love to get your
You don't
feedback.
think it sounds like Winter Wonderland? Sounds very nice, right? It's kind of pleasant. No?
You're it's a little ropey dopey here.
What are you talking about? That doesn't sound like me at all.
My neighbor's home.
We got some music that was
All
composed
right.
for this show that we usually play during our feedback.
Yeah, I'd rather
segment.
hear that. That's nice.
Buzz Me Cool by the singular
Yeah, let's hear that. That's
Mr. Mac.
I'm sorry. What's going on? What do you guys want?
I say, this might be a great time for a nice music bed.
sorry,
composed
Santa.
By
What's
our
wrong with the one I had?
Sorry,
good
Santa.
friend Max. I think
Mark's
it's-
over there finding toilet Christmas songs.
Oh my
He's
God.
amusing.
Add Santa here. No.
He
Ah,
is
there it
amusing
is.
himself,
There it
though.
is. This is-
So I like that.
This was a gift that was made to us by Max Prokop this year to celebrate our 150th or 100th episode, right?
150 years we've been doing this?
100 episodes. Anyways, we're coming up on 200 episodes next year, and we love to
No
hear from
kidding.
you. You can write to us at mlsoulofdetroit@gmail.com. That's what Dan did. You can also leave us a message at 313-288-9070. That's Butterfield 89070. Perhaps we will experience another Christmas miracle and we'll have a voicemail that we can play for you on the air next year. Next week, a special show. We are doing an all advice episode where you're going to hear our insights and advice on some very important and poignant questions. We will have an expert weighing in, Mr. Stephen Patrick Morrissey, who will be offering his advice along with ours, his observations on life. A man who, despite a rather dour outlook, dank you might say, has managed to survive 60 spins around the sun and has a little wisdom to impart to all of us. So that will be next week on ML Soul of Detroit. Do not miss it. And of course, we appreciate if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, ML Elric. If you follow us on Facebook, if you follow us on Twitter at Elric, if you support the show with a rating, with a donation, if you share the show, and please just keep listening. And we hope that you have a safe and happy holiday, whatever denomination, whatever occasion. We'll be here for you, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, on the Soul of Detroit. And until after Christmas, we ask Cyrus to please kind of want to listen to the music a little more. Sean's been quiet.
I got another song. You want another one? This one's not as dirty.
Cyrus, take us out.
No,
Cyrus.
what are you talking about?
Cyrus, get off the roof. Get down the chimney.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
What if I don't buy into this podcasting thing?
Then there would be millions of disappointed children around the world.
Shawn doesn't want the job.
It was a dream.
But it's growing on him.
I've gained 45 pounds in a week.
Now he's getting into the spirit.
There are a lot of kids that believe in you. I want some ballet slippers.
And getting ready for the biggest night of his life.
How could I have done this without you?
You got it.
Marc Fellhauer
Presents a timeless tale that will warm your heart,
I love you, Sean.
Love you, son.
lift your spirits, and make you believe.
You really are.
the soul of Detroit.
Pretty cool, huh?